Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm and welcome back to another video guide for Ark. Today in this video, folks, I'm going to show you how to tame a Pulmonoscorpius, or in other words, the scorpion. Now, when I first started out in Ark and I discovered Carnivore Island on the island map, I used to have fun taming these guys. They are fairly easy to tame. They are not necessarily useful, but they are cool, and come on, let's face it, who does not want to ride a giant scorpion? Although it doesn't really have much use, I suppose, in the later game, apart from just looking cool and being a giant scorpion. Now, first thing you need to know is this is a knockout tame, so that means you will have to knock it out. It does also apply some torpor when it does hit you, so you want to avoid that, and the best way to do this, I find, is to use a trap, which I'll show you how to build. Now, as this is a rideable creature, that means, of course, that you will, of course, need a saddle for it. And in order to tame it, it can be tamed with two foods. You can use spoiled meat, or, of course, you can use the regular kibble. This is the saddle right here, and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to be able to craft the saddle. So let's have a look right here in the engram section. So you can craft that at level 22. These are the required resources for crafting a saddle. Not that complicated. They can definitely be acquired quite easily. As I said, you can tame the scorpion with two foods. You can use kibble. Kibble will tame it faster. Or you can, of course, use spoiled meat. I'm going to go with the regular kibble because I have it, and to keep things nice and safe, I am going to use a trap. Now, there are several scorpions in this area, so I need to be careful with them. I'm going to try and find a bit of flat surface right here. All I need to do is put down a 2x2 foundation, so that way it will have some walls on the outside and some ramps for me to kite it in. Start off with the foundations. I'll get the walls. We'll need some ramps as well. So this will be, of course, a pitfall trap. This is something that I quite often use. I've used it in other videos. It's my preferred method of trapping a creature. Now, of course, on PvP servers, you will be able to pick up wild dinos, whereas, as far as I know, to my knowledge at least, on PvE servers, you cannot pick up wild creatures with your mount. So this is more aimed at PvE players that want to tame it. Now, the scorpion will, of course, aggro on the dodeck. Hopefully, the dodeck will not kill it or do enough damage to kill it. I will place down the foundations. I will have to help the scorpion out. Okay, never mind. That's fine. That's fine. The dodeck is now curled up in a ball, therefore no harm to the scorpion. So that should be alright for me. Once you place these down, just surround it with walls. You only want to go one tall. Once the scorpion's in, it should not be able to get back out. It should also allow you to get in and out. You can use whatever creature you want to do this off of. Now, for the purposes of getting around the map, I've used, for this particular video, a wyvern, but you can do it off a Rex, Tyrannus, you name it. You can do it off of that. The larger the creature, and if it is a carnivore, the scorpions does not tend to aggro on you, as you can see whilst you are riding it. There are some raptors over there that may potentially cause some problems, so I'll have to sort those guys out once I place down the ramps. Now, the scorpion is down here, so for that reason, I will place the ramps on this side. They are being a bit dodgy this time. They're not wanting to place for some odd reason. There we go. Now, I don't want to dismount my wyvern because I will aggro everything around, and that's not going to be good for me, and that may potentially end up hurting the scorpion. That's my target right there. He seems to be coming towards me quite fast. I don't think he's aggroed onto me. I'm not quite sure what he's doing. Now, normally what you would want to do here is you want to just quickly dismount your mount, run around the trap, and let it follow you into the trap, kind of like that. Now, this time around, he just went there by himself, but you can do this whilst he's aggroed. So that's kind of the idea behind it. The scorpion just decided to make my life easy, so I'll just go with it. I'll leave it as is. I'm going to pick up the ramps on this side because there are some raptors, there are some other creatures around here, and I don't want to, of course, have anything else in that trap. There we go. So it's now in there doing its own thing, trying to get out. Once I dismount, notice that it has now switched focus to me, so I will just start knocking it out. You can use both the long neck rifle with the trank darts as well as the crossbow with the trank arrows. Do bear in mind that the crossbow will do more damage to the scorpion's health, and it does not have a lot of health, so keep that in mind when you do use the crossbow. Now if you have an ascendant crossbow or something of a higher level, it will do more damage but also apply more torpor as well. For the purposes of this video, I'm just using the normal primitive stuff just to kind of show you how many darts it takes to knock one of these things out. They don't take a lot, to be fairly honest. There we go. And it's now knocked out. One cool thing about the scorpion is that once it is knocked out, it does not lose its torpor really quick. So you can go and clear the area out should you need to. I don't see where the raptors are. So what I'll tend to do with my wyvern is I'll park it above the trap and then try and creep into the trap, kind of like underneath it. That does allow me to mount it should I need to. Bear in mind that if you do land on top of the scorpion, as you saw me there, it does tend to be kind of buggy because of its legs. So it kind of can get stuck on its hitbox. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, I'm going to use the starving technique and wait for it to starve out before I feed it any food. For those that are interested in using the starving technique, you can, of course, also download Dodo Dex. It is an amazing app. It will help you with taming any creature in the game, as well as breeding them. And you can find this app both for Android and iOS devices. And it is one of the best tools for Ark. It will help you with breeding, taming, and everything with regards to creatures in the game. Now, I do want to get this guy out of the trap, but it seems that a Carno wants to be friends, so we'll just deal with him before we demolish the trap. As I said, the Pulmonoscorpius is, of course, a rideable creature. You place a saddle on it, and, of course, you can ride it. As you can see, it floats quite nicely to the top. When it does swim, it is not a fast swimmer, but you can also dive with it. So it has two attacks. Basically, it switches between, it toggles between them depending on its attack. So it's a left click, simple attack. It does spin on the dime, as you can see, and you can get stuck in its legs because it's kind of derpy. But it is a cool creature to have. It looks pretty darn neat. It's basically a giant scorpion, and I don't see why you wouldn't want one of these, especially the ones that are the aberrant versions of these that glow in the dark as well. Now, as I mentioned before, the Pulmonoscorpius does apply some torpor on its sting, so do keep that in mind. It does not do a lot of torpor, but it is enough to knock out a player after a couple of hits, so keep that in mind. You can't necessarily use this to knock out other creatures, so in that regards it'll do more damage than torpor, and because it's not got a lot of HP, it will most likely die out before you manage to knock anything else out. It is a good starting creature to get, and of course you will always have plenty of spoiled meat, but with spoiled meat you will also need narcotics or narcoberries to keep it knocked out. Other than that, it is a fairly easy creature to tame, and you can kite this with an Argentavis. You don't need a wyvern. You can do this with a Pteranodon. I've used all of these creatures to kite them into the traps, and of course you don't need to make a stone trap. You can just make it out of wood. It's just as good. Now, of course, another very important thing to note here, especially if you are just starting out in the game, is that you will find loads of these creatures in caves. Some of them are tameable, others will not be. The general rule of thumb is that if the creatures in those caves are above 150, the creatures will not be tameable. You can, of course, tame creatures in caves that have creatures lower than or up to level 150. With that being said and done, that is pretty much it for this video, folks. I do hope that you have enjoyed it and found it useful and informative. If you have, please don't forget to support me on the channel by hitting that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already for more similar content from myself. And if you have just subscribed, don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you get notified when I upload new videos and content to the channel. Also, for those interested, you can always find me on the Sethtopia Discord. Links to this, of course, you can find down below in the video's description, as well as in a pinned comment from myself. Until next time, stay safe, folks.